James Alefantis and his pizza parlor came under a lot of fire when the Podesta emails leaked. He was suspected of being involved in a child sex trafficking operation run by some of the most powerful people in Washington, D.C. And perhaps there is a reason to believe that he might be involved. Here are 5 suspicious facts about James Alefantis. Let's start with something as simple as his name. Without giving it too much thought, his name doesn't raise any red flags. James Alefantis. It wasn't until he was linked to child sex trafficking that people really started to look into his name. And without digging too deep, things were already beginning to look suspicious. The name James Alefantis is awfully similar to the French phrase J'aime les enfants, which literally translates to I like children. Not only is it similar, but it is almost an exact anagram. Conspiracy theories pin James Alefantis as a child sex trafficker who uses his pizza parlor as a front to launder money. His surname alone is a perfect anagram for infant sale. Again, it could just be a coincidence, but it would be neglectful to say that it isn't at least very, very peculiar. James claims that his name is of Greek heritage, but a thorough search of the name reveals that less than 50 people in the entire world have this surname. And there are only 2 people in the whole of Greece with this surname. However, there is a similar Greek family name, Alefantis, spelt with an I, and it is far more common than Alefantis. Alefantis is a deliberately misspelled version of the Greek name Alefantis. This suggests that the surname could be an afterthought, a name that is chosen for a specific reason and has great meaning to its holder. More like a badge than a family name. But why would somebody change their name to something so obviously criminal? If the theories are true, then James would have to somehow let people know what he does. After all, it is a business, but only those in the know would know who to look for. It's called hiding in plain sight. It is a common practice used in the black market. People who are heavily involved in the black market are often given nicknames that describe the service they provide. For instance, a butcher is somebody that disposes of bodies. A cleaner is somebody that gets rid of evidence. And if the theories are true, then James Alefantis is somebody that sells children. Although it is right in front of us, those who don't know what they're looking at won't see it. Contrary to the popular saying, out of sight, out of mind, the truth is, if things are out of mind, they are out of sight. James Alefantis, high school dropout turned millionaire with powerful connections. Sounds like the American dream, right? How did he achieve such glory? By opening a tiny little pizza parlor that is in a low-traffic side street somewhere in the middle of Washington, D.C.? Or by much more sinister means? The pizza parlor he credits for all his success and fame, Comet Pizza, is a tiny little pizza joint that can only seat about 50 people at any given time. The pizzas served there are reportedly pretty standard, and the place is quite seedy. During the evenings, his pizza parlor turns into a taboo-themed nightclub that hosts gigs from controversial artists, comedians, and sometimes even sex shows. 2 of the most commonly featured bands sing, speak, and joke about very disturbing topics, including pedophilia. One of these bands is Majestic Apes. They are considered to be a band that pushes the limits of artistic expression. Their shows are definitely not safe for all ages. Despite this, all events that take place at Comet Pizza are for all ages. Comet Pizza is also a popular hangout for the gay and lesbian community. And since Comet Pizza is also a fully functioning bar that has no age restrictions, from time to time you will see intoxicated, promiscuous adults dancing with little children. However, any business owner would know how hard that kind of wealth is to achieve, even owning a chain of stores, let alone one seedy pizza joint / nightclub. But Comet Pizza is doing surprisingly well and can afford to be selective of which customers they serve. Is it really crazy to assume that his pizza joint is a front for money laundering? Definitely not. I would go as far to say that it is logical to draw that conclusion. How the hell can a high school dropout who runs a mediocre pizza joint be listed as one of the most powerful men in all of Washington, D.C.? So powerful that he has the entire high command of the Democratic National Committee on his speed dial. So powerful that he has CNN doing damage control for him. Is it maybe because if he gets exposed, then all his friends get exposed too? Is he maybe doing dirty work for other powerful people? This high school dropout also has other projects he is working on, but he is very secretive about them. For one, he owns an art gallery which has access to the Arts in Embassy program. The Arts in Embassy program allows well-connected and powerful people like the Clinton family and the Podesta brothers to ship art from country to country without being stopped for inspection by customs. This also includes living art, which is very loosely defined and could be animals or humans. Why is James Alefantis a part of the Arts in Embassy program? Isn't he just some pizza chef that was fortunate enough to strike luck and live the American dream by creating his mediocre pizza joint? But that's not all. James Alefantis, this humble pizza chef, is also a movie producer. His latest so-called masterpiece is Chapel Perilous, or CP for short. It is a poorly written, directed and acted movie that won an award at the Sundance Film Festival. In a nutshell, the movie is about how we should embrace the evil that we all have inside us. The lead actor performs some ritual on a guy called Levi, which of course is just an anagram for the word evil. And at the end of the ritual, Levi grows horns which makes him resemble the Greek god Pan. As I discussed in my video about Peter Pan, Pan is the horned Greek god of carnal sin. He's a representation of man's animalistic and bestial side. The symbol of Pan is used as a celebration of sexual liberation and taboo fetishism. This includes pedophilia. Different manifestations of Pan can be found throughout many cultures and religions, but today he's more commonly known as Baphomet or Moloch. Baphomet is also used, albeit incorrectly, to depict modern-day Satanism, but the message represented by Baphomet is similar to that of Lucifer, and that is to rebel against the strict rules and morals of mankind. Baphomet is also sometimes represented by a crescent moon above a star, a symbol James Alefantis uses in his Comet Pizza sign. In the movie, after Levi transforms to Pan, the movie cuts to a young half-naked girl in a dark chamber. I don't think the message could be any clearer. I wonder why James Alefantis showed such interest in this movie. Why is he one of the producers? Believe it or not, indie productions are often used for money laundering. And if the theories are true, then James Alefantis is sitting on a wealth of illegal money which he needs to launder through certain channels. But his most sinister project of all is his unlisted museum. He is so secretive about this museum that he has threatened to kill people for just investigating. But more on that later. Just to recap, let's take a look at some of James Alefantis' projects. Comet Pizza, Comet Ping Pong, Chapel Perilous. There seems to be an ongoing theme. A man that owns an art gallery and a museum surely must be an art lover, and James Alefantis indeed is an avid lover of art. However, his taste in art is quite controversial. James Alefantis' favorite artists are known for painting extremely disturbing and graphic pictures of child abuse and even sacrifice. Before the whistle was blown on the Pizzagate theory, Comet Pizza had some very disturbing paintings up on its walls. Paintings of adults holding the severed heads of naked children. Shortly after the leak of the Podesta emails, James Alefantis took down these paintings. Why would James Alefantis support such sick artists? And why would he feature such disgusting work in his pizza parlor? It is also interesting to note that other members of the Arts in Embassy program, specifically John and Tony Podesta, are extremely interested in this kind of art. Art that depicts the abuse of little children. Who in their right mind would buy such filth? Who thinks that the abuse and destruction of innocent children is entertainment? John and Tony Podesta and James Alefantis do, and they are all close friends. Isn't this already extremely suspicious? Is it wrong to assume that James Alefantis is somehow very interested and maybe even involved in these kind of activities? James Alefantis strongly teases that he indeed does love children and that he works in child trafficking on his Instagram page. Before the Podesta email leaks, his Instagram was open to the public, and what people could see on his profile was shocking. His profile picture is the statue of Antinous, Antinous is the ancient Greek poster boy for pederasty. Pederasty is the act of sexual relations between a male adult and a male child. In Greece, pederasty was considered a part of the culture of elite societies. It was considered a coming-of-age tradition where socialite men would pick young, lower-class boys which they would mentor, but the boys would have to completely surrender as sexual slaves to these men. By using Antinous as his profile picture, James Alefantis is clearly showing that he stands with adult and children sexual relations. And considering that James is a homosexual, Antinous is clearly the symbol he would choose to show his support. After all, James Alefantis is one of the social elite. There is also a picture of Pan posted on his Instagram with no context, but there is one comment on that picture left by somebody saying how Pan reminds them of James Alefantis. So the Greek god of pedophilia reminds people of James Alefantis. It gets even darker. There is a picture of an infant sucking on a wad of cash, a picture of a baby doll with a price tag, and a description saying that the real thing is a lot cheaper. A picture of a baby in a shopping basket, a picture of a little girl bound to a table, and pictures of graphic art depicting child abuse and very sinister comments that hint at child abduction and trafficking. There is even one picture that is taken at his art gallery, which shows a man standing beside a pornographic image, which is allegedly uncensored child porn. The picture shows an adult male penetrating what some consider to be an underage female. The next picture also has no context, but after looking into James Alefantis a bit, we can clearly see a theme and can add context to the image using our logic. The picture is of what appears to be a walk-in fridge. It doesn't raise any red flags at first because this guy does own a pizza parlor, so it would make sense to install a walk-in fridge. But this walk-in fridge is not at the pizza parlor. It is at another location, and a comment posted by one of James Alefantis' friends says, #killroom. What the hell? Am I right? With everything we know, we'd be crazy not to investigate. And one person actually did. He found out where this kill room is, and it nearly cost him his life. James Alefantis owns a museum, but he does not want us to talk about this museum, or even know that it exists. It is not open to the public, and is creepily close to a kindergarten and a playground. The kill room or walk-in fridge we saw posted on Instagram is inside this building, as proven by a YouTuber named Ryan. However, shortly after his discovery and uploading the video to YouTube, he received death threats from the owner, James Alefantis.
These are the text messages from when we got off of our phone call. When we left the phone call, I had told him that I was going to delete the video, and the first thing he texted me back was just the Pegasus shit. Figure out how to do it, no waves. So what he meant by that is like he doesn't want people thinking there's any fishy reason that the video got deleted. So he wanted me to figure out a way to get rid of it without causing any more questions. I was still freaking out, so I said, I'm a super reasonable guy, you don't have to scare me like that. Then he sent me a picture of me and my girlfriend and said, cute. Now, I knew this was him threatening me and trying to scare me, but I went ahead and said, is that you being nice? Trying not to fall into his little trap, but he said not yet, so call quick, then I can go to bed with less worries. I let him know the mods deleted the post off vote and that I'd call him in 5 minutes. And he said everything they say about me is true, except I don't like kids at all. And he says, and I don't really want to hear about you again from anyone. Good night, Ryan. And I said, I'm telling you I'm done, this is way too real. And again, it reminds me that I have a cute girlfriend. And I said, thanks, man. Then he says, XO, and he sent me 2 ping pong paddles, some kind of kissy lips, some painted nails, and some money.
Before we actually talk about this museum, let's talk about the name. It looks like James has an obsession with Greek mythology. This building is called Pegasus Museum. Pegasus is the symbol for unbridled artistic expression. Pegasus likeness is usually used to symbolize the protest of censorship in art. And now we know what James Alefantis considers art. But why the hell would this museum need a fridge? And why is it closed to the general public? What kind of art is this museum storing? If it has cold rooms and walk-in fridges, it must be perishable art. James Alefantis is a member of the Arts and Embassy program, a program that allows him to import and export living art and bypass international customs. This museum is also built on top of an abandoned DC catacombs.
Alefantis' properties, Comet Ping Pong, Transformer, and Pegasus museums perfectly align with newly discovered tunnels. That's the headline of this post on Vote. So all these properties hover over Dr. Dwyer's catacombs. Now think about that for a second. And think about this picture here. Let us noodle on it for a second. All of James Alefantis' properties perfectly align with what we know about the newly discovered tunnels. This user even punched in Pegasus Museum and it was a perfect match to the locations of Dr. Dwyer's tunnels.
The underground catacombs stretch all the way from the museum owned by Alefantis down to his pizza parlor. If enough work was done to the catacombs, it could be used for underground trafficking. Pictures from inside the museum show that James Alefantis is laying massive pipes that lead from the walk-in fridge, or what his friends call the kill room. Again, this could mean nothing, but the way that James Alefantis reacted when the location of this museum was discovered raises massive red flags. James Alefantis threatened to kill the guy's mother and girlfriend if he did not delete the video and stop talking about his museum. He even tried to intimidate the boy by admitting that everything he heard about him is true. This kind of extreme reaction to someone simply finding a location to a museum you allegedly own, I believe, is proof that he is hiding something he doesn't want seen. Is James Alefantis involved in child sex trafficking? Either way, I can't say. Although, taking everything that we know into consideration, it is extremely hard not to suspect it. His taste in art, his obsession with the perverse side of Greek mythology, his questionable and secretive business choices, and his reputation as one of the 50 most powerful people in Washington, D.C. for being just a fucking pizza boy. So, James Alefantis, if you are watching this, can you honestly blame people for suspecting that you're involved in child sex trafficking? I would love to offer you the chance to come on here and explain this to everyone, but I just don't see how you can, because how the fuck can half of this shit be explained? I'm Mr. Gunk. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.
If you've been frequenting online forums or social media over the past week or so, you might have heard of Pizzagate. Now, what exactly is Pizzagate, and why are people talking about it?
Well, Pizzagate. It became a major story weeks ago when an armed man decided to investigate a D.C. area pizza place for himself.
Pizzagate is an active investigation into the possibility of a satanic child sex trafficking and pedophilia ring involving many of the most influential, powerful, and wealthy people on Earth. Why is it called Pizzagate? WikiLeaks leaked emails from John Podesta, the former chairman of 2016 Hillary Clinton.
Federal agents raided Dojo Pizza. The restaurant's owner is now facing federal charges for allegedly making child pornography. News 4 was the first to bring you the news back in November of an alleged human trafficking ring.
This man right here, he carried a rifle into a pizza parlor and then fired it at the floor. Media is telling you the entire story is a hoax or fake news.
I can tell you that the #1 problem in Hollywood was and is and always will be pedophilia.
What does that even mean? I spent the last month investigating. So what exactly is Pizzagate? And are there any actual facts to support this story?
John Podesta clicked on a phishing scam email sent to him by hackers and unwittingly handed over his password to them. The hackers then handed over Podesta's emails to WikiLeaks, and they verified their authenticity before releasing them in the run-up to the 2016 US election.
I've got to warn you, what we're going to talk about tonight will be disturbing to some people, but this is a reality check you won't see anywhere else.
Several Democratic Party figures, such as John Podesta, Hillary Clinton, and others, are involved in a pedophile sex trafficking ring centered around Comet Ping Pong, a pizzeria in Washington, D.C.
So how did a D.C. pizza parlor get pulled into the story? Well, again, read any mainstream report, and they indicate that Comet Ping Pong Pizza was somehow linked to this fake story and has no relation to anyone involved. But the truth is, that's not true either. What media is ignoring is that the Comet Ping Pong Pizza place is actually referenced in the Podesta emails at least a dozen or so times, and that the owner of that place, James Alfantis, is a friend of John Podesta.
Many believers in the Pizzagate controversy have also taken to investigating this on their own, and some of them have found what they believe to be the Instagram accounts of the pizzeria owner and possibly some of his employees.
It was actually named, this is kind of strange, by GQ magazine as one of the top 50 most powerful people in Washington. Yes, we're talking about a pizza parlor owner.
That's the biggest problem for children in this industry.
The casting couch even applies to children.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody talks about pedophilia.
It's the big secret.
And it's widespread?
Oh, yeah. I was surrounded by them when I was 14 years old. Surrounded.
Now let's talk facts here. There is no solid evidence that Comet Ping Pong Pizza is being used to run a child sex trafficking ring. But there are some very strange connections between Comet Ping Pong Pizza and a second pizza place 2 doors over, Besta Pizza, and the accusations of pedophilia.
Many have criticized Pizzagate, however, as being a witch hunt or a conspiracy theory. Conspiracy theory, conspiracy theory, conspiracy theory.
Now this is where things start to get strange when you research this story.
Welcome friendly people to Comet Pizza and Ping Pong. Have any of you enjoyed this special pizza here tonight? But no, she didn't. She held on to that child all the way to the end. And the fucked up thing was really, it was after it was born. I had to put that shit down. Euthanasia.
And here you see John Podesta with Hillary Clinton, with the Pope, with Bill Clinton, and with Obama.
Now to begin, I need to show you a 2007 unclassified FBI document. That document, according to the FBI, contains...
First signs of the suspicious activity were emails that appeared to contain some kind of code relating to pizza and other food items.
Commonly used symbols by pedophiles to express their preference in children.
There's a good chance you've never heard of this because you're probably not a pedophile, but pizza is actually a term used by pedophiles to describe pedophilia or child porn.
I want you to see these images here. These are the images. Notice this one on the end, the triangle. That image signifies something called boy love.
Like any other underworld, say like the mafia for example, the world of pedophilia has its own language. A language that's often reflected in Podesta's emails. Here's one example. A handkerchief pizza-related map? Okay. But what's really telling is they describe this pizza-related handkerchief map as a square cloth handkerchief that's white and black. This is significant because there actually is something called the handkerchief code. Black signifies S&M and bondage, and white signifies underage sex.
The pizza place next door to Comet Ping Pong Pizza, Besta Pizza, well, this was their logo until only a few weeks ago. Clearly you can see that the Besta logo actually contains the same image, I'm going to show you again, as that boy lover image.
Which, sure, if you don't know anything about John Podesta and his brother going to occult sex rituals, or Tony Podesta's sculpture in his home that is modeled after the poses that Jeffrey Dahmer put his victims in, or the artwork of Tony Podesta's favorite artist whose graphic paintings adorn his home, or the Clintons and Podesta's close ties to known pedophile Jeffrey Epstein, or Podesta's close friendship with pedophile Dennis Hastert, or the fact that the pizza place right next door has a logo that literally is listed in the FBI database as a symbol for pedophiles.
Interestingly, after Pizzagate investigators pointed this out, Besta Pizza changed their logo, and there it is now. They removed the triangle.
This recent Podesta leak on spirit cooking has people concerned. What is spirit cooking?
We share your sorrow.
Also, Comet Ping Pong, owned by Alphantis, is the place where a number of performance artists perform regularly. Two of the groups that perform there, who you can see advertised, by the way, on this Comet Ping Pong poster, include a group called Heavy Breathing and another group called Sex Stain.
We share your pain.
Spirit cooking is cannibalism mixed in with black magic. And why should you care? Well, John Podesta cares, and he's in charge of the Hillary campaign. It confirms recent reports that Hillary and the gang are heavily involved in occult activity.
Well, if you check out the YouTube videos by these bands, Heavy Breathing has songs that do joke about pedophilia, and the band Sex Stains has a video that includes, and you see it right there, that same boy lover symbol. It's nearly identical to the one that the FBI does say is a pedophile code symbol for boy love.
This brings new definition to the word evil, and this trend is more widespread than you might think. Entire urban cultures are centered around spirit cooking. The woman that coined this expression, Marina Abramovich, is close friends with not only John Podesta, but Jay-Z, Beyonce, and many other A-listers as well.
As I said, there are some strange things there. As for the owner of the pizza place, James Alphantis,
these cult members not only run our politics, they not only run our entertainment, but they're in charge of most of the corporations as well. And they're looking at you like you're the cattle. Moo, cow, guess who's for dinner? Children and infants for starters.
Well, he was one time in a relationship with David Brock, who ran Media Matters for America. Well, since Pizzagate began to blow up online, he has made his Instagram profile, Jimmy Comet, private.
And the murder and mayhem doesn't stop there. When they're not killing children for sport, they're molesting teenagers, raping women, practicing lies in the open. They're running for office, they run the country, and they want your soul. They live in a world where wicked is good and where good is evil.
But an archive search of Instagram reveals a number of strange photographs and words with strange and disturbing images associated with them.
And they see you as the enemy. They feed you GMOs. They fluoridate your water. They mandate. They engage us in endless wars, and then they tell you to shelter in place. What you've been suspecting over the years is not your imagination.
Look, to the point where we can't show you those pictures. We're not even going to describe them to you because some viewers would find it too disturbing to share on TV.
We repeat, what you have been suspecting over the years is not your imagination. Monsters do exist, and they run our country.
Now let's talk about the Podesta brothers, because remember, it was John Podesta's email that was hacked. In those leaked Podesta emails, John Podesta talks about his close relationship with Dennis Hastert, the former Speaker of the House, who was recently sentenced to 15 months in prison for abusing boys years ago.
And they have an agenda. It's right there on the Georgia Guidestones. It's right there in their Luciferian after-school program. It's right there on the television. Every anti-Christian show you've ever seen is pushing their agenda.
He was referred to by the judge as a serial child molester. According to the Washington Post, visitors to Tony Podesta's home in Falls Church got an eyeful when they walked into a bedroom at the Podesta residence hung with multiple color pictures by Katie Grannon, a photographer known for documentary-style pictures of naked teenagers in their parents' suburban homes.
You are their slave, Neo. You were born into a matrix, into a prison for your mind. A prison that you can't taste or touch or smell. And they come on television and they reinforce their indoctrination. They sell you lies because they're in it together like a bunch of Charlie Manson groupies.
And to be clear, that just begins to scratch the surface of how strange some of this stuff is. And bear in mind, we can't get into a lot of the real details of it because of the limits on broadcasting this on television. But it is some very strange stuff.
Have you ever wondered why serial killers get tons of fan mail? There are more cult members out there than you can imagine. Have you ever wondered why Hillary Clinton has escaped prosecution? It's because there's more cult members out there than you can possibly imagine. And they're in it together like a bunch of Charlie Manson groupies.
Now keep in mind, again, there is no proof here that there is a child sex ring being operated out of a DC pizza parlor. Investigators have already proven there's nothing to the story, right? Well, actually, no. And that's what you need to know. For all that is here, there has not been one single public investigation of any of this. Not from local police, not from the FBI, no one.
Just pretend for a second that you understand the following fact. The people that run our government, the people that show up on television, they're not there by chance. They're there because they're Luciferians. This is not our imagination. This is an observation. So you have to ask yourself, do you want to be ruled by a bunch of cult members? Do you want devil worshippers telling you what to do?
And that has to be the big question. Not for Podesta or for pizza parlor owners, but for law enforcement. Based on what may be or may not be here, the big question is, why hasn't any investigation taken place? That's reality.
That should be enough, given what you're looking at here.
In all, WikiLeaks dumped around 50,000 email messages, and it was from those emails that the claims that John Podesta may be part of a child sex trafficking ring.
Many comparing it to the internet's attempt to find the Boston bombers, only to accidentally harm innocent people in the process.
But there are dozens of what seem to be strangely worded emails dealing with pizza and handkerchiefs. Self-described online investigators say that those words in the emails about pizza and the talk of handkerchiefs is code language used by pedophiles.
First signs of the suspicious activity were emails that appeared to contain some kind of code relating to pizza and other food items. Things blew up when the infamous spirit cooking email from Marina Abramovich to Tony Podesta was uncovered.
Here are some of the emails featuring possible code words and the code itself. And if you read these emails, these are emails from the Podesta leaks. Many of these emails, these are just some of them, but the way that they're worded, it doesn't make sense if you were to interpret these emails at face value. It has to be code for something else. So
I'll speak more about that later. Let's take a look at the code in the emails. The code appears to be hot dog equals boy, pizza equals girl, cheese equals little girl, pasta equals little boy, ice cream equals male prostitute, walnuts or nuts equals person of color, map equals semen, and source equals orgy.
So here's one that says, "Hi John," this is an email to John Podesta. The person says, "The realtor found a handkerchief. I think it has a map that seems pizza related. Is it yours?" They can send it if you want. I know you're busy, so feel free not to respond if it's not yours or you don't want it.
Here's a quote from one of the emails. The realtor found a handkerchief. I think it has a map that seems pizza related. So this is one of the very strange emails that appears to be coded and which first got us curious about what on earth they were talking about. And it's from Susan Sandler to John Podesta. And you can see the WikiLeaks email number at the bottom there, so you can go and look it up if you want.
So the pizza related map, and again, keep in mind the code words on the left here. Handkerchief is not included here, but it's been referenced in other places that has been used as code for a child. Here's another one, Mary and John. This is to John and his wife. I think you should give notice when changing strategies, which have been long in place. I immediately realized something was different by the shape of the box, and I contemplated who would be sending me something in the square-shaped box. Lo and behold, instead of pasta and wonderful sauces, something assortment of cheeses yummy. I am waiting the return of my children and grandchildren from their holiday travels so that we can demolish them. Thank you so much.
Do you think I'll do better playing dominoes on cheese than on pasta? Another email sent from someone from the Sandler Foundation to John Podesta in the WikiLeaks email 50332. So again, this appears to be some kind of code. I mean, would you ever say anything like this to anyone you know?
I think most notable in this email is the PS at the end. He says, "Do you think I'll do better playing dominoes on cheese than on pasta?" And again, keep in mind the code words on the left.
Do you think I'll do better playing dominoes on cheese than on pasta? And it appears that the word dominoes perhaps means something like BDSM that involves domination. That's what we're speculating. So again, cheese means little girl and pasta means little boy.
That sentence just simply doesn't make sense if you were to take it as its straight meaning. Another one, the next 3 months are going to be rougher internally than in Beijing. between 7th and 1600. No fun. Hope you're doing okay. I'm dreaming about your hot dog stand in Hawaii.
Another email. Obama spent about $65,000 flying in pizza/dogs from Chicago for a private party at the White House. When you start thinking about this doesn't make any sense at all. Who on earth would fly in pizza and hot dogs from another state? Who on earth would spend $65,000 on pizza and hot dogs? And why on earth would Obama be feeding his guests pizza and hot dogs? Wouldn't they have some kind of way fancier food that can be prepared by chefs and things there? And apparently they don't import food into the White House anyway because it's a security risk. All the food is prepared on site. So again, it does appear to be code words.
Another one. Hey John, we know you're a true master of cuisine and we have appreciated that for years. But walnut sauce for the pasta. Mary, please tell us the straight story. Was the sauce actually very tasty?
Why would this even be a topic of interest in email? And if you do a search and look this email up, you'll also find that the response seemed to imply prostitution. So it does appear that these are code words for some kind of prostitution. And if we look at the code words, pizza equals girls, and hot dogs equals boys.
A separate one. I'm coming to town the week after next, and I will bring some walnuts.
I will be sacrificing a chicken in the backyard to Moloch. Cheryl Mills emailed this to Hillary Clinton. So what's a chicken code word for? Well, in gay slang, chicken is code word for an underage boy, and Moloch is the god associated with child sacrifice. So go figure. I will be sacrificing a chicken in the backyard to Moloch.
This is one that I pointed out earlier. I think Obama spent about $65,000 of the taxpayers' money flying in pizza/hot dogs from Chicago for a private party at the White House not long ago. I assume we're using the same channels, and there's a response to this. It's not included in this this graphic here, but the response mentioned something about if we have the same waitresses in quotes. So there's a innuendo about waitresses that's in response to this email. Wording again just seems flying in at $65,000 worth. I mean, just if you were to take that literally, first pizza and dogs, and then those are both known code words for boys and girls from Chicago for a private fundraiser. I mean, they're going to be flying $65,000 worth of hot dogs for a private fundraiser.
These are the kind of weird emails that first got us asking questions when we were digging through WikiLeaks. Interestingly enough, the founder of Twitter, called Jack, also seems to use similar codes and also talk about Satanism. He wrote, "Making the good pasta, reading through some amazing parts of the satanic verses. The golden threads begin to intertwine." I mean, what does this mean? Is he literally just telling us that he's making pasta while reading satanic verses? Or is this some kind of inside joke or coded message that he's sending out? He sent this in 2006. And remember again, pasta is code for little boy.
So this is John Podesta. For those who don't know, his emails were leaked. He was the chairman of the 2016 Hillary Clinton presidential campaign, so he works very closely with Hillary Clinton. He's a very important, very well-connected person. He's the guy that gave the concession speech on the night of the election for Hillary. This is his brother, Tony Podesta. He is a well-connected person. He throws a lot of pizza parties. He also collects highly controversial artwork.
So, talking about Satanism, this brings us to Marina Abramovich's invitation that she sent to Tony Podesta. So who is Marina Abramovich? She calls herself a performance artist. She's close to many celebrities and politicians. Ex-Satanists and occult experts have stated that her work is clearly inspired by Luciferian worship and Aleister Crowley, a famous Satanist's work. Her spirit cooking recipes involve consuming concoctions of bodily fluids. In one of her recipes, she instructs women to put a live fish inside their vagina overnight to prepare it for use in a love potion.
This is them again. This is an ongoing investigation, and I've heard that there is new information coming out about this week. The crime itself happened a few years ago, 2007. Now just notice the resemblance of the Podestas, and these are the alleged suspects in the disappearance of Madeleine McCann in 2007. She went missing in Portugal Evening of May 3rd, 2007, she was 4 years old. Tony and John Podesta were allegedly staying at pedophile Clement Freud's mansion in Portugal on May 3rd, 2007, the day of the abduction, only one third of a mile from where Madeline disappeared. And there's other evidence that his Podesta's emails at his office, he had wiped some emails. His secretary had answered for him on the day of the abduction. So there's other evidence that he wasn't working or at his office on that day.
When we look at James Olifantis' Instagram account, that's where it really gets disturbing. Not only can we see numerous connections to him and Hillary Clinton, such as him proudly displaying a letter he received from her and being considered the special guest at one of her pizza parties for her campaign raising efforts. So we can also see George Soros making several contributions to Ping Pong Pizza itself. I mean, you have to ask yourself, why are these elites funding a pizza joint?
Now, this is just one example of some of the strange artwork that both the Podestas have, not only in their home, but this is his actual office. It's photoshopped into this specific picture, but this is a picture of the wall, one of the walls of his office. And he was actually asked about this. It was part of a magazine feature on Podesta, and the reporter asked him about it. It's not in this graphic, but he was asked specifically about this picture, and his response was, "It's better to be the guy with the fork than the guy on the table."
James Olifantis, who is the owner of a pizza place very close to the White House, which is called Comet Ping Pong. It is a pizza place where they have in the basement, they have ping pong tables. They market towards kids, and this guy appears to be very careless in what he does. You could see photos of him here, this disgusting, rotten human being that he is. I don't want to rant too much about it because it's important to get the message across without my anger getting involved. I've already screamed about it enough. I've been shaking over it. You can see him here wearing what appears to be some type of plastic spandex shirt. It tells you enough about the guy. The reason he's been careless is because he, like a lot of these elitists, they feel like they're invincible and they can get away with anything at this point because society's so dumbed down.
We've got two pictures in his office. One is this strange reference to the occult. I know a lot of people think it's strange, the alleged satanic element of Pizzagate, but this is not something that just the public is coming up with, or it's been spun out of whole cloth or comes from nowhere. This is a response to references and art and codes in the emails that directly reference these things. Well, I mean, there was the direct reference to Malak from the email. It's not code for anything. Podesta himself and these other people openly practice this type of thing. This is his brother, one of the statues in his home.
And I want to thank the people out there who've been doing research on this and getting this info out. It's amazing that people care this much and that everybody's trying to work together. At least people who aren't legitimate shills or agents are trying to work together and get this information out because it's so important that people see it.
This is one of Jeffrey Dahmer's victims. 2,000-pound hanging sculpture in Tony Podesta's home with no head is similar to a photograph of Jeffrey Dahmer's, one of his headless victims. This is art that's in their home, and all of that. I mean, that's a part. That's just some of it. There's more art than that. I mean, that's the theme of the Podesta home seems to be the occult and child abuse.
But again, this guy carelessly has been posting pictures for quite a period of time on his Instagram account because he had it public like an idiot. He finally removed many of the photos and blocked his Instagram account and set it to private, but people took screenshots and the information is now out there. This man is linked to former CTR director David Brock. Apparently they had a romantic relationship with one another. You can see the photo of this man here, which don't even get me started on that.
This is a connection of high-ranking people. Celebrities included are connected to this woman, Marina Abramovic. She's known for spirit cooking. The WikiLeaks emails make direct reference to her. They revealed that in her messages to Podesta, Abramovic mentioned spirit cooking. Spirit cooking is an event and central ritual started by her some years ago.
Now, this is an operation that they're running, which is child sex trafficking is what's going on here to very elite, rich people around Washington, D.C. And it's believed that these rituals take place inside of this restaurant, and there's donations from all of these big name players and photos that link them to a connection to this man.
The Clinton Foundation paid $10,000 to Marina. This is the email that references spirit cooking. Marina wants you to come to dinner, Mary, to Tony Podesta. Dear Tony, I am so looking forward to the spirit cooking dinner at my place. Do you think you will be able to let me know if your brother is joining? All my love, Marina.
Now, it appears that around Washington, D.C., which all of you know who are awake, around that area, that is where a lot of the pedophilia goes on, because a lot of these people in the White House, or if not all of them, are involved in this. We know these people in high positions of power are Satanists and into pedophilia and child abuse and all these things that they do for their satanic rituals and their satanic offerings. Now, there's another restaurant in D.C. All of these places have connections to Hillary Clinton and the Clinton family, called Terrasol, which means earth and sun. And you can see here a photo of Hillary Clinton at this restaurant.
People like Jeffrey Epstein. So Bill Clinton and Jeffrey Epstein, he's a billionaire. He also a convicted pedophile. He owns an island called Little St. James. The island is used to host sex orgies. He has a private jet, and Bill Clinton visited the island at least 26 times.
Now, what's important, and I want to teach you guys, is about these logos. I just showed you the Comet logo, which has the Baphomet symbolism in it. These other places have logos. This is how they network. Okay, these restaurants, there's all these businesses are set up as fronts. It doesn't mean you can't go in there and get a piece of pizza. Of course you can. But it's all set up as a front. These are how they network. This is how they know where to go and where they can find it, who's involved and who isn't involved. With symbols, like I always talk about. This place, if you look at the symbol, you see a big heart with a little heart inside of it, as well as a adult size hand and a child's size hand. Now, according to the FBI and the logos that they have, which are unclassified, this is another symbol used in child trafficking, sex trafficking. And there's a connection there with Hillary Clinton. So you see the adult's hand with the baby's hand, and this is a restaurant for food.
On the case in Haiti with Laura Silsby, just a very brief intro for those who aren't familiar with the case. In January 2010, an earthquake in Haiti left hundreds of thousands of people dead, injured, and displaced, and over 1 million homeless. 3 weeks after the earthquake, Haitian authorities arrested a group of Idaho missionaries for attempting to cross the border into the Dominican Republic with 33 children without papers or proper authorization. From another article, they also said that many of these children were actually found to still have parents, even though it was said that they were orphans. The missionaries also claimed they had good intentions to set up an orphanage, but investigations showed that none of the children were orphans, right? And that the missionaries may have been attempting to smuggle the children out of Haiti to be adopted internationally. So child trafficking.
This has nothing to do with, the United Way, where adults are helping kids and all this stuff. This is a restaurant. So you can see that logo. It's the same thing, the big heart with the little heart. Okay, this is coding. FBI uses this. This is coding. This is what the pedophiles use for their sex trafficking as coding, so they know where to go and who to be involved with. And this is another direct link to Hillary Clinton. Then we have another place. This place is called Besta Pizza. Besta in Portuguese means beast. Take a look at the logo here. Take a close look at it. You see the pyramid with the kind of a zigzag in it. It almost looks like a 6. There's 2 of these symbols now. Okay, right? One is boy lover. The other means little boy lover, which obviously has, if you want to debunk it, it's aged based on age, right? Little boy lover probably being a child up to 5, boy lover being a young teen. That's the logo for Besta Pizza. What's interesting is the guy who owns Besta Pizza goes under the name of Andrew Klein, who was hired by Hillary Clinton and appointed to work as one of 4 attorneys in the Department of Justice working on human trafficking. And this is the guy who owns this restaurant. So there's his tie-in to Hillary. But look at the symbols and the logos. There is a network of child pedophilia. We know this is out there. We've seen the Franklin cover-up. I've talked about McMartin. I'm going to go into more detail about those things because those are the really important issues that need to be discussed. But you see a connection now with Hillary and Andrew Klein, who she hired, who, of course, what a coincidence, she puts him in charge of one of 4 people of human trafficking so he could turn the other way because he's involved in it. So these are the places around the D.C. area, these restaurants that are coded, and they're using this for trafficking, and the Clintons are all linked to it, which shouldn't be a surprise. We've already seen the connections. We already know that these people are all about pedophilia, child abuse, and child sex trafficking, all of this stuff that they get away with. But unfortunately, the masses out there refuse to believe it. So let's go back to what this is about. The connection here with James Alefantis, who is the owner of Comet Ping Pong, who is so blatantly out there that he actually shows and reveals all of these things in plain sight, like I said, on his Instagram page. So let's start by showing you the connections to child pedophilia and him hinting at it all over his Instagram using FBI code words, FBI symbols, all sorts of things. And let's keep in mind, for those of you out there who follow the Illuminati card game, many people have done videos on it. It's complex. There's so many cards out there, but there's hints in the cards. We've seen that with September 11th and all these other things. There's actually a card. It's card number 444, pizza for the secret meeting, it's called. And you can see the checkered floor behind it. So pizza for the secret meeting. Very interesting. Secret meetings and pizza? Now, if you look closely inside the restaurant, like I said, in the basement is where they have the ping pong tables set up. You can see kids playing ping pong. Look at some of the artwork on the wall. You can see the two-headed symbolism there, which we see with the Masons, the double eagle. Okay? We see that with the Freemasons. We see that with the Order Out of Chaos. There it is right there, two-headed eagle on the wall. I mean, something pretty disturbing to have down there when kids are playing ping pong. Next to it, of course, we have people holding a head because these people are cannibals. These people eat these victims when they kill them. They're into cannibalistic nature. We've seen that with Marvina, right? The display she has with a body in a tub filled with all types of goo and blood. We see Lady Gaga use a spoon and eat out of it. This is what's going on. This is the world that we live in. We see these hints right around us. We see the guy who owns the restaurant, James Elefantis, posting a photo of a chamber underneath the restaurant, an empty one. You might say, well, is that where they store the pizza and the dough and the crust? No, it's not. Look at some of the comments written in his Instagram. He says, oh yeah, this looks fun. Hashtag kill room. Just rinse it off when you're done. Hashtag murder. Someone else says, where the werewolves lock themselves up during the full moon, because we know that they participate in these types of rituals on full moons, super moons, okay, all the time.
I don't know if you guys heard about Tony Podesta's ex-wife, Heather Podesta, being on the board of directors for the DC Police Foundation. Allegedly, they were told to stand down on the Seth Rich case. What is going on here? Alright, if you go to dcpolicefoundation.org and then go to the board of directors, there you go. Heather Podesta, Partners LLC. Since I had never personally dug into the code words that were used too much, I would just see the list and never, question it. So, I mean, I didn't dig through everything, but I did a little research and it brought me first off to Reddit. So, in a Reddit post about the deep web, this guy starts asking, have you found dominantly fucked up stuff? Or are there actually useful things? I'm actually curious. And right away, you're looking for kiddie porn? Why don't you just say? And this other dude, because he isn't. Op is secretly Chris Hansen. I think that's pretty fucking funny. Just take a seat. Just take a seat right here. Just take a seat. Take a seat. Nothing too interesting. You can't just stumble on the drug markets or cheese pizza on the deep web. Same here, I got super excited about that deep web had the crazy pizza deals or something. Yeah, what's being referenced here? Oh, that's bad. Put the first letter of cheese and pizza together, what do you get? Club Penguin? Cow pussy? Am I interpreting it correctly? Is it child porn? I never look for cheese pizza though. Popo will be on you if you do that. What the fuck is this cheese pizza? It's been mentioned several times. Oh fuck no. Not that cheese pizza. That's fucked up. Cheese pizza. CP means child porn. This one I won't read because it grosses me out. You can read it. Books on how to eat babies, how to do it with a dead body, blah blah. So, cheese pizza. Here's Urban Dictionary. I wanted to point out That Reddit post was from 2 years ago, so I'm guessing 2015. And this is from Urban Dictionary from 2010. Cheese pizza. Child pornography. And another thing I wanted to look into was pig roast. So here, I've been invited to a pig roast. Or is this code? What should I wear and bring? The invite says, early Saturday afternoon to arrive and be prepared for a late night. Maybe wear a Hawaiian outfit or bring some rum. I'd hate to come unprepared. Does it say clothing optional? Yeah, I was thinking Hawaiian because ham and pineapple on the Hawaiian pizza I love. Maybe not. I'll just wear some shorts. But commando, of course. That made me think of this WikiLeaks email. I'm dreaming about your hot dog stand in Hawaii. So I don't know. Be prepared to squeal. You're gonna be there? Yes! Corn is on the menu. Are you psychic? Or is that a pairing like peanut butter and jam? Maybe corn is a code for phallus. Pig roasts are disgusting and horrible. When I was a tot, my grandpa took me to a Republican pig roast. Not as gay as it sounds. I took one look into that hog's soulless empty eye sockets and began screaming. Spent the rest of the evening curled in the fetal position under a chair. And that's why I cry during sex. It's gross. Gross! Maybe you cry during sex because you have a boo-boo on your pee-pee. Regardless, I'm sure a Democratic pig roast would have been different. Much different. Alright, that's enough of that. I wanted to point out these are from 2011 also. Now, if you go to the Urban Dictionary, a pig roast is a sexual encounter in which a woman is put on her hands and knees and penetrated from both ends. If you've seen the movie Chasing Amy, that would be called a finger cuff. So, but it doesn't have to be just a woman. It could be a guy or kids. Now we know there's a whole bunch of, well, not a whole bunch. We know there's a few emails about pig roast in there. Now, whether he's fucking his family or cooking a pig, I'm not one to say. I don't know. And then this odd one from Tony, don't ask me to lift the pig. To me, I feel like that's like a mafia slang, maybe? Or mob slang? I don't know. Now, going back to the Herb Sandler emails. John and Mary, I just received the holiday package of pasta and sauces. If only I could make it turn out as special as you guys do. Many thanks, much love. That was 2014, not 2015. Mary and John, I think you should give notice when changing strategies, which have been long in place. I immediately realized something was different with the shape of the box, and I contemplated who would be sending me something in the square box. Square-shaped box. Lo and behold, instead of pasta and wonderful sauces, it was a lovely, tempting assortment of cheeses. Yummy. I am awaiting the return of my children and grandchildren from their holiday travels, so we can demolish them. Notice demolish, not devour. Thank you so much, blah blah blah. Fuck yourself. P.S. Do you think I'll do better playing dominoes on cheese than on pasta? And then this one. We know you're a true master of cuisine. Have appreciated that for years. This is the walnut sauce one. So, blah blah blah. And Mary's like, it's indeed. He was just questioning, but here's the thing. Look at what she said in the last one after all that. Hee hee. Jim has no idea what he's talking about. Jim has no idea what we're talking about. Because we're fucking speaking in code.
I've been working on this video for a few days, just researching this topic. I've been trying to cover as many cases, at least public cases, big cases, that involve satanic ritual abuse, for the reason being that people need to be aware, whether it's past or present. Because if people aren't aware that this stuff has been going on, that it continues to go on, then how are people going to become aware of what happens to these children? How they're trafficked, how they're abused, how the court systems are set up to protect these satanic sex rings. And the key word there is satanic, because that is the core of all of this stuff. These people are Satanists. And there's this perception now in society that Satanists are really atheists, and all these guys are getting time on TV, and these satanic groups are parading around as if they're liberal organizations trying to support everyone, and everybody's been duped. We live in a world where everybody is taking everybody at their word for things. The Bible it tells us, it warns us, you know, Satan is the master of lies. These people are nothing but liars. This case is extremely disturbing, okay? I've talked about McMartin, Hampstead. Obviously, we went through Pizzagate, you know, and Pizzagate was a big thing. It was big because it made people aware that this stuff was going on. But unfortunately, there weren't victims and people who came forward. There was just a lot of creepy stuff with Alifantis, and I would guarantee that he's 100% guilty, in my opinion. I would guarantee that, but the whole thing got hijacked and taken into a political movement where it was about, oh, Hillary Clinton and oh, these specific liberals and how we're going to drain the swamp. The whole thing kept away, you know, they got everyone away from the core of it, which is that these people are Satanists. And these cases all revolve around it because that's the teachings they follow. Aleister Crowley's teachings, they all revolve around the same stuff, which is ritualistic abuse of these poor children. We all need to pray for these kids, pray for children everywhere, because there's kids who are born into this stuff, as you'll hear with this specific case, which is a case that nobody really knows much about. And it was kind of hard to find a lot of stuff. There was just, you know, a few case reports you can read. I did find a few articles archived, you know, from the 1980s, which I'll go through. But this took place in Jordan, Minnesota, and there'll be things right off the bat where you'll raise your eyebrows and you go, oh, what a surprise, because some of these names sound familiar. And I believe, through the research I've done reading this, that there was something huge that was being covered up here. And in regards to high-ranking politicians and people who, you know, were being protected, which is always the case, right? But, you know, in a small town like this, people go, well, how could a president or a councilman, you know, or a senator be involved in stuff like this? But clearly there was something bigger going on here. Okay, so the case was in Jordan, Minnesota in 1983. Several children made allegations against a man and their parents. The man confessed and then identified a number of the children's parents as perpetrators. Ultimately, 24 adults were charged with child abuse, but only 3 went to trial with 2 acquittals and 1 conviction. 1 conviction. I mean, people get convicted and go to jail for not paying their taxes. 24 people, 1 gets convicted. It said, despite strong medical findings of sexual assault and other charges, it was dropped after the young child witnesses decompensated under the duress of the criminal trial. And remember, you're going to hear, you know, I talk about mind control and triggering, how they use trigger words and stuff like that. The same thing, if you look at any of these cases, they use the same type of method through the media to say, well, the kids were changing their story. Well, the people who were interviewing the kids were persuading them to say this or persuading them to say that. Oh, the kids grew tired because they were getting asked the same questions and their answers were changing. This is all mind control tactics that these people play on these children, and then they push it out through the media to make it sound like a bunch of kids felt like going to trial, talking about how adults were ritually raping and molesting them, because that's what the kids want to do when they're 5 years old. They want to go to court and talk about this stuff. I mean, give me a break. It says during the investigation, and listen, this stuff is hard to hear. The children made allegations regarding the manufacturing of child pornography, ritualistic animal sacrifice, and I don't even know how to say these words properly. And it just makes you, it really, really makes you sick. But coprophagia, which is feces, making them eat feces. Insects consume and then redigest the feces of animals. That's what it's described as. I mean, just unbelievable stuff. Urophagia, which is urinating, on one of making them drink each other's urine. And infanticide, which is the sacrificing, intentional murdering, and killing of infants. Where do we hear these things? You don't hear these as isolated stories. This only revolves around Satanism. Infant sacrifice, ritualistic animal sacrifice, child pornography being filmed and sold, snuff films, defecating on children. It's unbelievable. I mean, it's heartbreaking, but the information, I believe, is so important to be out there because, listen, if you're somebody who hears and you go, I can't deal with this, I understand completely. Some people can't deal with it. I can barely deal with it. I can't deal with it, to be honest with you. But I know it's important for this to be out there because it can protect and help other children if people are making their kids aware of this stuff. If parents who have to send their kids to public school, you should be able to sit down with your child and talk to them at a young age and just say, listen, tell mommy and daddy if anything goes on at this daycare, anything goes on at this kindergarten, anything. If anyone touches you, if there's anything with animals, so that they feel safe enough to tell their parents. Because what they do is they put them through trauma-based mind control. So they'll make them commit, do a ritualistic killing of an animal, and they'll say, listen, if you tell your mom or dad, I'm going to come to your house and do it to your mom and dad, or do it to your pet. And the kid is so terrified, he's not going to come forward. He's not going to feel like he's safe enough to come forward. He's going to be scared. That's why they use trauma-based mind control tactics on these children. So I believe it's just so important to make people aware, as disgusting and disturbing as it is, so that these children, parents educate their kids on this stuff, and the kids don't feel afraid to come forward. At this point in the allegations, the FBI became alerted. No criminal charges resulted from the FBI investigation. In the review of the case, the Attorney General noted that the initial investigation by the police and the county attorney was so poor that it destroyed the opportunity to fully investigate the children's allegations. Of course, what a convenience that all the times in these cases, from McMartin right on down to here. How convenient, right? That it was so sloppily handled by the police that we have to dismiss the case. Even though you have kids standing there raising their hands going, this guy sodomized me. This person made me ritualistically kill an infant. And they go, oh yeah, the case was just sloppy. I mean, if you want to talk about a cover-up. And then, guess who the judge of the case was? Antonin Scalia. I always mispronounce his name, but you know who I'm talking about. Who later was promoted and had a very high-ranking job, on the Supreme Court. What a coincidence, right? So he's the judge in the case, and he stated, there's no doubt that some abuse took place in Jordan, but there's no reason to believe it was as widespread as charged. And then he cited and repeated well-intentioned but coercive techniques used by the investigators as damaging to the investigation, right? So that's, he says, some abuse may have happened, but not the crazy stuff they're talking about with Satanists and all this stuff. Oh, what a coincidence. And then later on, this guy is appointed to the Supreme Court. See how it works? Who was he protecting? Because he wasn't just protecting a couple of, local morons, a couple, hillbillies out there. Clearly there was bigger people, more prominent people involved. And you could see this graph here that was put together of the accused people and the network, right? How they were connected to each other, either through marriage, through blood relationships. You have ex-wives. And one of the, more disturbing things when you read into this case is that it was the parents were acting as couples in these abuse things. So a mom and a dad were together abusing their own child. And then they were passing that child off to other parents who were then performing these rituals on that person's kids, per se, and they would flip-flop their kids around while also doing it to their own children. I mean, these people are going to burn so fast in the lake of fire. I wish I was there with a Polaroid to take pictures of it, because it's disgusting how these people, I don't know, the word soulless doesn't sum it up well enough. I'd use the word soulless, but I mean, it's worse than that. It's lower than that. These people are, lower than just a demon. These people are as sick as you get. Imagine having a child and you and your wife or your husband, and you're like, you're passing it off. You're doing this to your kid. I mean, you don't deserve life. You deserve the worst of the worst, and they're going to get the worst of the worst. Excuse me for going off topic. Now, I just want to read a few things so you can get a clear idea of the story in the town. Jordan, Minnesota, a town with 3 streets, 4 churches, a championship school football team, a town where people shun old friends, where mothers forbid their children to enter the homes of neighbors. So they make the town sound like it's so, cookie cutter. And, it could never happen in this town, right? When in reality, this stuff goes on everywhere. And when they use the techniques of trauma-based mind control on these children, that's how they get away with it. Okay? People go, well, how come more kids don't come forward? Because they're kids and they're getting forced to commit murder, and then they're getting threatened by adults. And they're getting told they're going to do it to them and to their own kids. So it says, Jordan, a community, was known, of course, as a good Christian community of 2,900 people founded by German immigrants in the 1850s, blah, 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 no one cares. On September 26, 1983, Christine Brown complained to the Jordan police that a neighbor had molested her teenage daughter. During police questioning, the daughter named other children who had allegedly been molested, and those children named other adults as their abusers. Arrest followed arrest as the scandal spread. By June 24th, grown-ups and 1 juvenile in the Jordan area had been charged with sexually abusing more than 30 children who ranged from the ages of 2 months to 17. Among those arrested were a local policeman, a deputy sheriff, and ironically, Christine Brown, the mother whose complaint had sparked the investigation. She said, "I was dumbfounded," according to the Jordan police chief. The thing just kept growing and growing. We never anticipated having anything like this in our hands. The arrests were shocking enough, but the stories behind them were ghastly. According to the alleged victims, and one of the accused who agreed to testify after many of the charges against him were dropped in plea bargaining, the village harbored rings of adult sex abusers who incestually victimized their own children and other children during ritualistic sex parties involving sadism and bestiality. Some of the children described a bizarre sexual variation of hide and seek in which children who were found were taken to a bedroom and abused. The accusations were so grave that reaction in Jordan went from revulsion to disbelief, and then at least among a sizable minority of townspeople, the charges that overzealous prosecutors were using the children to engage in a witch hunt. Right? Always the same story. They're like, it's Nazi Germany. It's a witch hunt, claims Gail Anderson, a former mayor of Jordan who was prosecuted by Morris for unrelated misconduct. Good law is being misused. The focus of these attacks is the chief prosecutor, Kathleen Morris, says a local realtor, Anna Sadley, it's a vindictive, power-hungry lady who has a grudge against Jordan. I mean, these are the stories that come out. Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, some power-hungry lady is deciding to, put all these people on trial. I mean, what are you, is this a movie? I mean, a D-ranking movie? I mean, you couldn't make up a more ridiculous plot, but this is the stuff that's going on in the real world. A former teacher who graduated from Hamlin Law School in Minneapolis is known as an aggressive prosecutor with a special interest in seeking conviction on child molesters. So that was what they were using to get people to go, oh, okay, one of those types, right? And then finally on August 20th, after months of rumors and accusations had divided the town, the first of the child abuse cases came to trial. And of course, no surprise, it said if the people in Jordan expected that the trial would end the controversy, they were disappointed. The case against Robert Benz, 37, and his wife Lois, 34, raised more disturbing questions than it answered. When the trial began, the prosecution charged the couple with sexually abusing 6 children, including their own 3 sons. Among the children who testified against the couple was their own 6-year-old boy, Tony, who told the court that his father sodomized him and his brothers, although the boy was confused over the meaning of the sexual terms. I mean, Right? See how they do? Oh, well, he wasn't sure what sodomy actually meant. I'm pretty sure, he does. And how many times you're like, oh, did he do this? Though, did he? I mean, I'm not going to say anything dirty or perverted, but it's just they twist it the same every time. Every time you read this stuff, it's the same thing. It says, although the boy was confused about the meaning of some of the sexual terms, when a defense attorney asked if he feared that his father would abuse him again, the boy looked across the courtroom and replied, "You won't do that no more, right?" That's what he said to his father. I mean, this poor child. During the grueling cross-examination, defense attorney succeeded in shaking some of the young witnesses' stories by hammering away at dates, places, and word meanings. However, a 12-year-old girl steadfastly refused to waver from her testimony. When a defense attorney accused her of lying, she snapped, "You're just helping Bob and Lois to get out of this stuff, this child abusing stuff. I'm not lying, you guys are. It's the truth. They heard us." Later, she rushed tearfully into the arms of a social worker. The defense attorneys contended that Kathleen Morris was vindictively prosecuting the Bences because they had publicly criticized the way she was handling a child abuse case against their neighbors. I mean, look how they turn and twist this stuff back and forth. It breaks your heart. Absolutely breaks your heart. And finally, after 4 weeks of grim testimonies, the case was delivered into the hands of the jury. For 3 days, the 8 men and 4 women deliberated. Then on September 19th, they returned to the court and found Robert and Lois not guilty. And that's how it works. Every time. They get away with this stuff every time. In a world where we're supposed to believe that we have a just law system, that we're supposed to protect and look after not just our kids, all children everywhere. This whole thing has been set up to corrupt kids, to ruin their lives, to destroy them. That's what these Satanists do. These selfish, perverted trash bags. They are the lowest form of scum, and people need to become aware of who these people are and what they're doing to our kids and where they are in the towns. But no, instead, you'll hear, they're atheists. They're not into that. Oh, it's this witch hunt stuff. Oh, they have all these trigger words like satanic panic, right? That's all they'll say. They go, oh, the satanic panic people. Right, because all these kids from all around the world just keep making up these stories. They just have nothing better to do with their time. So they want to prosecute their parents. And then what's the story that's going to come out next? Well, the little girl wasn't allowed to get a video game, so she wanted to take her parents to court to prove. I mean, they make up the most ridiculous crap, and people buy it. Instead of helping these kids, why would a kid make this up? When I was 6 years old, I couldn't even fathom what this stuff was. I thank God I had great parents who raised me in scripture and raised me the right way. But that's all I'm going to get into in the case. You can look more into it for yourself because it's the same thing. They always walk. You got high rank, you got Scalia involved. I mean, just heartbreaking for these kids and what they have to go through. Their own parents doing this to them, and they leave out all the heavy stuff with Satanism, with Crowley's teachings. Of course they do. How convenient. We all should be praying for these children every day because this stuff was leaking back then in the 80s and the 90s. There's a reason you don't hear really anything. I mean, sure, we heard about Pizzagate, really because a lot of people online investigated and did the job of the police. And we heard about Hampstead, right? But this is going on everywhere around the world. And these kids need our prayers. Prayers for protection, prayers for safety. God help these children, please. I thank you for listening to today's show. God bless all of you and your families. I have to warn you that this video is not for the weak at heart. At the end of this video, in a few minutes, I'm going to play about a 6-minute news clip, which has some really frightening graphics in it, images, I should say. But I feel it's important to cover this because it's something that doesn't get addressed often enough. And yesterday, somebody left this link on my video wall, and I had never heard of this case before, this specific event before, and it's really just frightening, to say the least. And it revolves around abortion and what happens to these fetuses. Now, a lot of people don't think about abortions as ritual sacrifices. They don't realize that the reason that abortion has been pushed so much into the mainstream, the reason that they've convinced women that these poor, babies that are inside of them are not real, almost as if if it hasn't come out yet, it's not like you're killing a human being. it's about you and your body, right? They've convinced women into this pro-choice thing and not pro-life. And what it is it's murder. And it's absolutely heartbreaking, but it's heartbreaking too on the women who get deceived into this because they have no idea. They let the media decide, the mindset on this. They have Hollywood celebrities come out and say, it's your body, it's your choice. And there's a reason that, I've talked about these satanic organizations, satanic temple, satanic church, or the Church of Satan, I should say. There's a reason that one of the only things that they do, other than go after victims of SRA, is go to all these abortion clinics, stand outside, dump milk on one another, dress up like giant babies, mock people who are anti-abortion, is because they know that the fetuses that are taken from these abortions are used in mass rituals. That's what is done. They are used in mass rituals. They don't just need to abduct and kidnap children. Once abortions got pushed, it made it even easier for them to obtain these children, to obtain their body parts, to be able to perform all this disgusting cannibalism on these fetuses, on these children. Because people don't go, well, what happens to the fetuses and stuff once the abortion takes place? Well, this video clip that I'm about to play will show you instances where this is what happens. And people just go, wow, why are there all of these aborted fetuses? You'll see for yourself. It's to say that it's heartbreaking is an understatement. To say that it's nauseating is an understatement. My stomach has been completely turned since I've seen this. Completely. And my mind has just been sick over it. This revolves around a Los Angeles fetus disposal scandal from 1982 where they discovered over 16,000 aborted fetuses which were being improperly stored at Malvin Weisberg's Woodland Hills, California home. And then the ensuing legal battle regarding their disposal. Because they just decided to dispose the bodies as if they were never really alive, right? They said, well, they don't deserve a proper burial. They're just fetuses, so we're just going to, torch them or get rid of them. It's really just absolutely disgusting. They had operated a medical analytic laboratories in Santa Monica from 1976 until March 1981. He purchased a 20-foot storage container, which you will see in the news clip, in 1980, delivering it to his Woodland Hills home and paying for it with a bounce check for $1,700. The container was repossessed on February 3rd, 1982. The company opened the container the following day, the company that repossessed it, and they discovered the fetuses which were stored in formaldehyde. The initial press conference of February 5th, 1982 by the Los Angeles County Health Department said up to 500 fetuses were found on February 8th. This number eventually rose up to 17,000. And you'll see for yourself. And like I said, look, the reason I'm showing you this is because this is something that doesn't get addressed enough either. And I need to address it more often as well. It's very, it's hard to address, right? But like I said earlier, there's a reason that, if you hear interviews with Satanists, during a lot of these rituals that they actually perform abortions during the ritual. It's not always, a 3-month-old child, a 3-year-old child. They'll actually just get these women pregnant and then perform the abortion during the ritual with everybody surrounding them in their ritual circle with the doctor doing it. It's almost a guarantee that 100% of the doctors who perform these abortions or work at these abortion clinics are Satanists or witches in covens. Okay, you'll often find abortion clinics pretty close to Masonic lodges as well. That is not just me making it up hearsay. You could look for yourself. In a lot of cases, there are abortion clinics right next to these places or right around the corner. There are Masonic lodges or Eastern Star lodges. And it needs to be addressed because the fact that the Satanists care so much about abortion. They just care so much about a woman's right to choose, even though the woman made the choice to spread her legs in the first place. And, then they say, well, if the person was raped, and I'm not going to get into all this stuff. I am obviously 100% pro-life, 100 million %, can never have my opinion changed on it. I don't care what the consequences or the result of the woman getting pregnant is. I understand people get raped and things like that happen, but I also understand that there's many people out there who can't have babies, who would love to adopt a child, who are on long waiting lists to adopt a child. So I know they've created this touchy subject about it,
with women, but it should never be that. It should never be this touchy subject, like, about, your body it's yours and you can make this decision. It is murder. And Satanists and occultists use these abortions as ritual ceremonies. They use the fetuses that are taken, the Planned Parenthood. We know they're involved in organ harvesting and all that stuff, but they take these fetuses, they use them for rituals, and it's just, it's frightening. So I'm going to play this news clip now. I'm really kind of at a loss for words. I didn't really know how to open this video and talk about this because it does make me really nauseous. This clip made me really nauseous. But I'm going to play it for you anyway. I'm telling you right now, I'm not just saying that. If you're somebody who, if you might not want to watch the clip, okay? But if you want to just hear the first few minutes, they do talk about what this story is about, but they do show images. They are graphic. It might bring some people to tears, some people to nausea. I apologize for that in advance, but I've given you a warning, so you might want to look away and not watch it. But again, pray for these children who do go through this. Their souls. I mean, they are living creatures. They're alive. It's amazing to me, like pagans, if you go outside and you take a leak on a bush, these witches and stuff, they're like, oh my gosh, the poor tree. If you throw a soda can out your window, oh, the environment. Oh my goodness, look, he kicked a tree, the poor tree. Oh, he's taking a dump in the grass. Not that a human would be, well, unless you're a human dog, which unfortunately those people do exist. But they're so sensitive about all that stuff. And then when it comes to an actual living baby inside of a woman, it's not technically alive till it comes out, they say. It's an absolute joke and hypocrisy. But that's because they want, everybody to think that this is about a woman's choice, and they've convinced all these women that it's not. It's about obtaining these fetuses. This is a ritual. Okay, these fetuses are used in rituals, and it really is heartbreaking. So again, I apologize for going on a little rant there. I wasn't sure really even how to go about talking about this. It's really heartbreaking stuff. So anyway, here's the clip, and again, be forewarned, it's pretty graphic.
America today is involved in another desperate conflict. Much of the action takes place behind the scenes, set in clinics, homes, and hospitals. Many Americans aren't even aware of this struggle, so brace yourself, because before this film is over, you will visit the bloody fields of battle. You'll meet the people involved in the fighting on both sides, which include some of the most influential figures in America today. And perhaps for the first time, you'll understand the reasons behind their struggle. Our story concerns abortion and began, strangely enough, in this relatively peaceful suburb of Los Angeles. Malvin Weisberg, a pathologist, owned a large storage container which he kept in his backyard. When he failed to make the final 2 payments, it was repossessed.
We made a decision to repossess it because his check did not clear the bank. And so we sent the truck out to pick up the container.
I rolled out there and took the box up and started pulling it up. And it was so heavy, it just it broke the winch. And we couldn't get it off the trailer, so we had to leave it on the trailer because it was too heavy. So I was asked by Nick to have a crew go down and unload the container at the other yard.
I got a radio call that from Ron Gillette, the foreman, and he said the men were throwing up and there was something really wrong.
One of them fell down and hit me right in front of my feet. And it was opened up, and there it was. It was a mutilated body. And the more closer I looked at it, it was a human body. And when I came to work the following day, I saw it myself. I couldn't believe it. And just little bitty babies, just all torn to pieces. Their heads chopped off, arms, legs, it just makes you sick to see something like that. Well, really, just, it makes you want to cry when you see something like that.
Starting at the very front of this container, it was just wall clear to the ceiling and clear to the sides, filled with them.
I really don't want to witness it again. Not what I saw.
Well, as the supervisor for the County of Los Angeles, we found out through the media that 17,000 infants had been stored in a container. So we asked for an investigation by the district attorney and the coroner's office. We found approximately 190 were over 20 weeks of age. I think some as old as 25, 27 weeks.
Mr. Antonovich contacted Mr. Gutierrez.
Glenn Wong is a funeral director for a major Los Angeles mortuary.
Ask us to go ahead and handle the burial of the fetuses. How I came involved was they were asking if it were possible to have anyone photograph these fetuses, and I so happened to be also a photographer.
How many fetuses were actually involved in the autopsies?
There were approximately about 44, if I'm correct.
And why were the autopsies performed?
They were to find out why, or what was the reason of the cause of death.
That wasn't apparent?
Apparently not. No, I've seen some of these fetuses, and believe me, they were apart. There were some where the eyes were bulging, and some where the chest cavity was ripped open. I do remember one where I saw a hand and a feet all apart. So it was kind of like the hands were intact, the feet were intact, and everything else was more like just a little potpourri, a little of everything, and that was it. That kind of turned me.
Here we see the abortionist stretching the cervix very wide open.
Dr. John Wilkie, who with his wife Barbara authored The Handbook on Abortion, described the dilation and extraction method used to abort many of the fetuses.
Without any anesthetic, the abortionist reaches up into the womb and seizes part of the body of the baby, usually a leg or an arm. Twisting and tearing, tears it off and away from the body of the baby. The baby, feeling pain, does not have any anesthetic. Bleeding is extreme. The abortionist returns in there with this grasping pliers-like instrument, tearing more parts of the body away, snapping the spine, and finally the mechanical problem is to get the skull out, and so he usually has to crush the skull in order to bring it out.
We had a court order that would allow us to bury these infants, being a humane act. And the ACLU comes in again saying that this is just tissue. We want to incinerate them, and there's no need for a burial. Because if you had a burial, somehow that's going to create a problem. Problem for whom?
And at that time, I think everybody there realized this was wrong, that it was really wrong. Everybody standing there felt that way. Even the coroner's office, I could sense that they were treating this like they were dead people, and they are dead people. That's the way everybody treated it. Evidently, the ACLU doesn't feel that way. And then transferred it all into the original container, and as I understand, it's still up in a county yard someplace.
Is it refrigerated?
No, it's in a steel container.
And how long, do you have any idea how long it'll be there?
I don't know, but it's been 2 years now, so who knows?
Although the discovery of 17,000 fetuses in a trash container is not an everyday occurrence, it is an event that should surprise no one. For every 3 days, an equivalent number of fetal children are disposed of in this country. 17,000.
And you all are very grateful that you are below a Subway sandwich shop.
Yes!
And Jerry is known to hang out down. He likes the world sounds. Tamales.
And little boys. And children.
I think I was his manager.
No.
There's good reason for my glistening skin, and how I shine, and how my pores are so clean and clear. I eat little baby's ice cream. It keeps me young. It keeps me light on my feet.
This is Little Baby's ice cream shop. Notice how the ATM says "Eat Me" on it. Okay, already inappropriate. Where it says "Pizza Culture." All right. Now, as far as the pizza culture thing,
for all that, and then I said, I deleted the video, and he said, "Good, blame YouTube." And then I said, delete the thread on Vote 2. I was just asking him. Now, when he said blame YouTube, he meant this as a follow-up statement. Blame YouTube, they are taking things down. Then I said, delete the thread on Vote 2. He said, I think be more creative. Say you think it's nothing or something. It's your culture.
there's pizza culture. There's pizza culture.
So what he kept saying, like, it's your culture. When we were on the phone, we talked multiple times on the phone, but he kept saying it's your culture, like it's your world, you know how the world works.
Yeah, Milo. Help me.
A report from the New York Times reveals decades of sexual harassment and abuse of young women committed by Hollywood mogul and major Democrat donor Harvey Weinstein.
This started for me with someone forwarding me this post that was on 4chan. This is the archived version, which I'll provide a link to in the description. It talks about videos on the internet, on YouTube, hosting MK Ultra content, and that there are mimetic materials and that they cause emotional reactions. This is what we're talking about. This is one Twitter account which has a lot of coded messages and pictures. Well, one of these tweets, and I'll show you which one, this one right here, was decoded in that thread that you have the link for in the description. And it's a simple replacement swap, letter swap code. So I looked for a tool on the internet that would help me decode it myself, and I found one. It's called Quip. I copied and pasted that into Quip here, and the first result is who finds what the finders hide.
What several independent online researchers have named Elsagate, based on the popularity of the well-known animated Disney movie Frozen, is probably far darker and far more disturbing than most people would even want to realize.
If your kids like Frozen, Minions, and Thomas the Tank, they may turn to YouTube to see more of their favorite characters. But before you let them watch, take a closer look. A report by BBC News found these characters have been put into YouTube videos with adult themes, animated violence, and graphic humor. Pages like Toys and Funny Kids Surprise Eggs generate millions of views and feature official-looking images of Peppa Pig, Doc McStuffins, and Cookie Monster. But with disturbing titles like Spider-Man Plays with Scissors, Bloody Elsa, Frozen Elsa's arm is broken by Spider-Man, and Naked Hulk loses his pants, these are not good for children.
And even the people who happened to watch the news that day probably haven't realized yet just how deep and dark this disgusting rabbit hole seems to go.
I'm gonna call Mahmood right now on this cell phone he gave me. He'll tell you. Damn phone's busted. Maybe I dialed wrong.
Peter, please stop trying to call Mahmood.
Like many times before us, and I'm sure many times still to come, we have been warned of these bizarre moments in history that are seemingly being suppressed by mainstream news outlets.
You are being brainwashed. And the reason why I say this is because everything that you see, hear, and read is influencing the way that you think. Your brain is designed to look for the negative. And the reason why is because your brain wants you to stay alive. So it focuses on the negative. So if the news puts out more and more negative, you're more likely to watch. Your brain is going to get addicted to watching that negativity, which in turn turns into more advertising dollars for the news companies that you're watching.
leaving all of those people who won't accept John Podesta's explanation to the accusations that he is a world-class underage sex slave op cover-upperer as a valid excuse for his undeniably disturbing and demented lifestyle, wondering if they've completely lost their own minds. Podesta and his cronies dismissed these allegations by simply stating that Russia hacked his email account, so it's not fair that we get to read them.
You know, as a Christian woman, I understand persecution, but I will not sit here and be persecuted because your information is totally false. What you're telling the American people, well, Podesta's emails were stolen. You're so interested in talking about stolen
So you
material.
deny it.
You're like a thief that want to bring into the night the things that you found that was in the gutter.
What really ended up happening was the fruits of the hacking activity that was carried on, including of my personal email account, by Russian intelligence, was weaponized. It was used to damage Hillary Clinton and to help elect Donald Trump. What really ended up happening was the fruits of the hacking activity that was carried on.
The problem with that pathetic excuse, however, is that some of us have already read his emails. Keep in mind that these allegations were made against John Podesta in 2011. And with that being said, this satanic pedophilia shit has been going on a lot longer than 6 years. According to Ted Gunderson, and we will get to who he was in a minute, but Ted Gunderson wanted us all to know something, including the U.S. Department of Justice, all the way back in 1992. Dear Mr. Lanners, the enclosed report contains information which indicates that the FBI personnel have been in violation of the obstruction of justice statute. This report also contains information concerning the Johnny Gosch kidnapping case in Des Moines, Iowa. There appears to be an organized kidnapping ring operation in this country within the jurisdiction of the FBI that is not receiving the proper attention. I would appreciate your checking into this matter. Cordially, Ted L. Gunderson and Associates. Mr. Lanners eventually was nice enough to write back by saying that he had everything handled. But the fact that the FBI isn't paying proper attention to what appears to be an organized kidnapping ring, to a former member of the FBI standards anyway, is troubling to say the least. And with that being said, I'm guessing that not a lot of people know very much about Johnny Gosch.
For the last 7 years, I've been investigating the cover-up of a child prostitution network centered in Nebraska. The guy who spearheaded the abduction of Johnny Gosch was affiliated with this ring.
I'm with Johnny Gosch.
They had Johnny in an abandoned house outside of Sioux City, Iowa for about 14 days. And then a man came from Colorado who they called the Colonel, paid the kidnappers, and then he basically bought Johnny.
What kind of things was Johnny involved in?
Prostitution, pornography pictures, molesting other kids at gunpoint like Paul did.
2 years ago, a convicted child molester surfaced and said he helped kidnap Johnny. He told an incredible tale of an underground network of adults who kidnap and sell children for sex.
I retired from the FBI March 1979. At that time, I was in charge of the FBI Los Angeles Division. I had more than 700 personnel under my command. The Attorney General of the United States, Griffin Bell, asked me after I retired if I'd coordinate security for the Pan American Games. I did. I was a consultant in the 1984 Los Angeles Olympics. I was a consultant for former Governor Jerry Brown, California Narcotic Authority. So I do have credentials.
Contrary to popular belief, Ted Gunderson was not a retired rambling lunatic. Instead, he was a retired FBI special agent who felt obligated to share the truth with his fellow Americans.
I want to make it very clear in the beginning, I'm not anti-government. I don't believe in terrorism. And I want to make it especially clear that there are a lot of good people in the FBI and the CIA, naval intelligence, army intelligence, military intelligence, NSA. Unfortunately, there are a few key people in key positions who have made a difference, a big difference, in what's happening in America today.
I think it is important to point out that everyone who holds a governmental job should not automatically be assumed an evil person working for the devil, even though sometimes it may seem that way. I think one of their biggest tricks is to instill the masses with fear, so that everyday people will feel like even if the government is up to something sinister, and they are, that there would be no way we could stop them. As far as I can tell, we are a part of the end of a generation that the elites have been working on for decades, known to many as the slave race, or you might know it as the working class.
We don't have to have fast food workers. We don't have to have people who work shit jobs. We don't have to. We just need to figure out how to restructure society so everybody somehow or another plays a part, has something to contribute, has something to share. I mean, that's what a real society is supposed to be like. I give you some coconuts, you give me some fish. You know, we make a deal, and you do it back and forth and left and right. And when there's nothing to contribute, then you start looking, the president needs to give us jobs. We need jobs. So instead of something to contribute, you just find something to do with your time. And then it becomes about doing that more than it becomes about finding something to contribute. So society gets wrapped around becoming a part of a machine. Society, instead of becoming a bunch of individuals that are expressing themselves in unique ways, and everybody sort of borrows and shares and sells this and you sell that, and we all sort of figure out how we can contribute in a society, we got sidetracked and diverted into these boxes that they call companies and corporations, and we got stuck into these containers. They go cubicles or offices, and we got forced into this system. So our time, instead of it being invested in making pottery or fixing cars or doing something where you have a passion or you have some sort of a connection to, instead of that, you've sold your life to sit in a box and work for a machine, an uncaring machine that demands productivity. It doesn't understand you, it doesn't want to understand you. It has a bunch of very strict things in order to keep the humor at a minimum in the office, just in case one of you fuckheads says some stupid sex jokes that gets them sued and they have to give somebody $1 million. So get it together, and this is your life now. No natural behavior. Everybody's wearing clothes they don't want to wear. Everybody's showing up and doing something they don't want to do, they have no connection to. That's the problem with our society. And then what's the reward for all this stuff? Go home, get a big TV. Go home, you're gonna get a shiny belt buckle. You're gonna get a nice purse. You're gonna wear shoes that you couldn't afford last week. You're gonna get that dream car. And every week we're chasing down this new object. And every week we're trying to fill this hole in this sad shadow of a life that we've been left with after work. That you work 8 to whatever the hours a day plus commuting, and then you're like this. And that's your life. That's your real fucking life. All that other stuff is not your life anymore. All that other stuff is work. And most of us have committed to that. I know you've been there before, and I've been there before. And we understand that it's trapped because we got out of it.
As many of you probably know by now, somewhere down the road in Joe Rogan's life, he stopped trying to be a unique individual, looking for ways to contribute to society, and instead he became a talking head for the corporations and elites that he opposed at an earlier point in his life. Or as he put it, he finally got out of it.
And we understand that it's trapped because we got out of it.
We are on a rock flying through the universe, which is the most spectacular thing anybody could ever possibly imagine, and yet nobody brings it up ever. People talk about crazy, boring, mundane things when we are on a rock flying through space.
You don't think the moon landing is real?
No, I don't. No. Do you?
Yeah.
Why do you think the moon landing is real? Why don't you tell me why?
I saw it on television.
Oh, you're genius. That's genius. You saw it on TV? That's awesome. I'm going to show you some CGI. I'm going to show you King Kong. I saw that on TV too. There's an 80-foot gorilla. He's running around kidnapping white chicks.
We had to get warmed up. The list is endless.
We had to get warmed up with body doubles,
conspiracies,
flat earthers. Flat earthers. We're going to talk about the flat earthers for one reason. The reason why I wanted to bring this up is because I think there's a lot of folks out there that are super gullible.
Listen, man, I got a question for you, man. So, I've been a fan of you for a long time, right? So what made you make the switch from like being a moon landing denier to like,
that's a good question.
Crazy if we didn't, you don't know.
If somebody reputable starts talking about UFOs, you can co-opt the person and say, hey, you want to know UFOs? We'll show you the real deal. But not only can you never talk about it publicly, You have to be a debunker publicly.
I'll tell the government right now, tell you right now if you're listening, NSA, CIA, I'm available, okay? If you show me all the real wreckage, I swear to God, I will make fun of that crap to the end of time. I'll make up stories. I'll lie to my mother. I don't care. You show me a UFO, I'll lie to my mother. I swear to God, I will make fun of that crap to the end of time.
Why? Why would anybody lie about that? Where's the money in lying about the Earth being flat? It's so stupid. It's so stupid. Listen, the reality of Earth and space is crazy enough, you dumb cunts. You don't have to fake conspiracies. The reality of this whole thing is so fucking uber bizarre. We're in a giant ball that's floating in the sky. Above us is something a quarter the size of us. It's floating in the sky, and it doesn't even fucking spin, and you need it there, and it regulates the tides. And if it was any further or any closer, everybody would be dead. That's crazy. That itself is fucking crazy.
I know a lot of people quickly dismiss the flat earth theory because they have been taught that the earth is a spinning ball in outer space their entire lives. But when I was growing up, I was taught that there were only two genders.
I'm a girl. Could have just as easily been a boy though, because the probability of becoming a girl is always 1 in 2. See, inside each of our cells are these things called chromosomes, and they control whether we become a boy or a girl.
And now in the year 2017, I'm expected to believe that there are 63 of them.
51% of the country are women. We should have the demographics of our politics look like our country.
No, that's not true.
What,
according to modern progressive orthodoxy, there are 63 separate genders. Now, it's not just men and women. It's not binary, Kathy. I don't know if you're keeping up with this stuff, and I'm dead serious. This is, I mean, I think it's insane, of course, but you're required to believe it. So if there are 63 separate genders,
then we should have them all at the table.
While I was in the middle of making this video, Joe Rogan tweeted about Pizzagate. And because we are at the end of a generation, more and more people are starting to realize that something strange is going on because they are paying less attention to corrupting our minds and are now focusing on corrupting the next generations. No matter what Joe Rogan tells you about Pizzagate, just remember that everything we were taught at a younger age could very well have all just been taught to us to fill the time and to keep us distracted from what they are really doing to us. I'm not going to argue that that's what they wanted back then, but take a look at what they are trying to do to our children now.
I'll show you a child's video that was linked to what we're talking about today. This is called Bad Baby Crying and Learn Color Colorful Spider-Man Finger Family Simple Song Collection for Kids. And this is a publicly available video which people have gone to and seen from 4chan and has over 10,000 views at the moment. So I'm just going to play about 5 seconds from it.
Red finger, where are you?
Man, that is scary. Now I'm going to show you one of the unlisted videos with the codes. This is one of those right here. Here's the title for it, and you can see that it's an unlisted video, and it has that coded title, and you also have coded description. Now I've used my tool to go ahead and decode what's going on here. First, let me show you 5 seconds of this video, and you may be disturbed by it. I'm going to go ahead and play it. Oh, boy, that bothers me.
Red, your trigger is Transformers.
Red, your trigger is Transformers, is what it said.
Maybe it's just me, but I feel like someone warned us about this type of thing happening before too.
My first mage and credibility, believe me. Now, if you read the internet, you may not think so, because there are some heavy-duty FBI informants out there like Stu Webb and Barbara Hartwell, who are MK Ultra mind control victims, CIA mind control victims, who are making all kinds of disparaging remarks about me, but I don't want to deal with those people, because if you read their material, you'll see that it's designed to discredit people like me, former State Senator John DeCamp, and other leaders who are trying our best to expose what's happening in America today, and actually around the world. They're like Stu Webb and Barbara Hartwell, who are MKUltra mind control victims, CIA mind control victims.
Yes, I was used in CIA black budget operations, many of them of a military nature. I was a mind control victim in these same black budget operations, and I was used as a propagandist by the CIA to help bring in the New World Order. I was actually a media person, I still am, radio and TV and print journalism, and basically they set me up through a CIA front company to propagate the New World Order through New Age propaganda. That's about the best way I can say it. And that's a comment I want to make. A lot of this New Age material that we see coming out today, it is an Illuminati ploy to bring in the New World Order. It's sort of a diversionary tactic, part of it. It's a way to get people to be complacent and under mass mind control. And that involves a lot of the trance channeling, all those sorts of things. It's a way to sort of lull people into a false sense of security based on a false spirituality.
So what does a mind control technique created by the CIA have to do with some perverts making disturbing videos for your children to watch? Because if you actually take the time to look into it, you realize, of course, that the perverts who are making these videos work for the CIA. How else can this be explained?
Down here it shows the tags for the video are MKUltra, MKUltra triggers, MKUltra mind control programs, and Project Bluebird. It has over 30,000 views. I'm going to show you how the description translates first, and I'm going to go ahead and copy this whole section here and put it into my Quip solver. Red, repress the memories of trauma with drugs. Blue, militaristic training and decimation of the mind. Green, denial of events and atrocities committed against them. Yellow, personas compartmentalized. Pink, core personality entirely destroyed. Red, blue, green, yellow, pink. Red, blue, green, yellow, pink. Now, let me decipher the title of this video that we just watched about 5 seconds of. And remember, we were talking about the Finders cult. The first result this time is the sacrifice of Henrietta and Igor. It's not perfect, you can see that, but the sacrifice of Henrietta and Igor. Why does that sound familiar? From the Finders cult, which we read. Among all the cryptic inventory, cops found a photo album entitled The Execution of Henrietta and Igor. It's a little freaky, ladies and gentlemen. The puzzle, I have to say, was a little too easy. Or maybe I just got lucky. I'm not sure. But I wouldn't trust that this isn't some other kind of rabbit hole.
Let's go back to 1776, May the 1st. Adam Weishaupt was commissioned by the Rothschild family to set up the goals to control and take over the world with a one world government. Adam Weishaupt came up with 25 goals. Among these goals were control the press.
So if the FBI is helping to cover up these satanic kidnapping rings.
Among these goals were control the press.
And clearly the media is helping to cover them up too.
Doesn't make you a pedophile?
Then what am I supposed to do as a father? And what are we supposed to do as decent human beings about all of this? Lately I've been seeing videos thanking YouTube for taking some of these awful videos down. But personally, YouTube has filed copyright claims on nearly every one of my videos that I upload to their website. And you are telling me that with how strict their guidelines appear to be, that somehow they let a video like this slip through the... Do you really think that we should let them off of the hook so easily? YouTube is just an outlet that the elites use to try and further control us. The CIA created MKUltra mind control to damage the minds of their own agents.
You've been keeping track of what the CIA and the Defense Department have been doing for a long time as far as using us as guinea pigs for mind control and other types of horrible things they have in mind for us and the rest of the people in the world. What are some of them?
Well, it started out basically with the CIA doing experimentations on their own men to discover if they could get rid of agents who were going to quit the department and still had classified information. So they utilized different types of drugs and pain and hypnosis and electric shock to try and get the guys to forget. Then they also did experimentations to using different chemicals to see if you can induce a person to commit a crime or induce him to do that or to do this. Of course, the CIA claimed that it didn't carry it through. The documentation we got was actually that they did that. Then we came across the overall project called MKUltra. Its earlier code name was Artichoke, and that included 149 sub-projects.
149.
Yeah. And those sub-projects range from what I just described to open-air testing in the United States, experimentation on prisoners, experimentation on soldiers, experimentation on college students.
Would these people know they were being experimented on and gave their approval?
No.
So now that you know what they are willing to do to their own people...
It started out basically with the CIA doing experimentations on their own men.
Do you really think that they would treat you or your children any better?
Then we came across the overall project called MKUltra. Its earlier code name was Artichoke, and that included 149 sub-projects.
I'm more than willing to bet that this is one of the 149 sub-projects, and because of Ted Gunderson, we know why the FBI lets criminals walk free.
Secretary Clinton said there was nothing marked classified on her emails either sent or received. Was that true?
That's not true.
Secretary Clinton said I did not email any classified material to anyone on my email. There is no classified material. Was that true?
There was classified material emailed.
Secretary Clinton said she used just one device. Was that true?
She used multiple devices.
Secretary Clinton said all work-related emails were returned to the State Department. Was that true?
No, we found work-related emails, thousands.
Did her lawyers read the email content individually?
No.
And with that being said, it's time that we take a stand, and it's time that we do something about this shadow of a life the elites have left behind for us to live. And speaking of this shadow of a life, Joe Rogan, I personally don't believe in coincidences, so as fate has it, you and I are going to be at the same place at the same time very soon. And I'd say we have a lot to talk about.
And we understand that it's trapped because we got out of it.
I've been a fan of you for a long time, right? So what made you make the switch from like being a moon landing denier to like...
That's a good question. I'll tell the government right now, tell you right now if you're listening, NSA, CIA, I'm available, okay? If you show me all the real wreckage, I swear to God, I will make fun of that crap to the end of time. I'll make up stories. I'll lie to my mother.
Lovely cheese pizza, just for you.
Camera speeds.
Fine.
a broken window, mind you. One kiss, two kiss, how you make it look like that? Do me doggy, rape me in the parking lot. Even you have to win sometimes, dear. Poison needle smoker, break a broken window, mind you. Find me, gag me, take me to the bunny ranch. Find me, gag me, take me to the bunny ranch.
You're remarkably normal.
Oh, thanks. I know people are always struck at how normal I am. I'm like, just like, wow, really? I think my
made
reputation
it through the maze
I
of
guess
being
so.
a famous child.
Yeah.
That's a very unusual maze.
My life is unique to me. That's what I like to say. And I'm almost like a peerless person, like to a certain extent. There's not too many people I can look left and right, and we have similar experiences.
Yeah.
Guys, Macaulay Culkin is back! I'm so excited! I know!
But Macaulay Culkin is now
in a pizza-themed cover band.
just released a premiere video on Muzu TV. Comedians, what is this pizza-themed cover band called? Is it A, the Red Hot Chili Pepperonis? B,
The Pizza Underground. C, the Mamas and the Papa Johns. Motion Casher. It happens to be B, the Pizza Underground.
well, that is correct.
The Pizza Underground is the correct answer.
Here she comes. Better hide your slice. She'll eat it all, so you have none. It's no fun, everybody knows. She's a pizza gal. Things she likes to eat. She's a pizza gal. Sausages and cheese. She's a pizza gal. Better lock your door, or just order more. It came from Sicily, made of pies traditionally. Pizza Hut said, "Girl, you must put some cheese inside that crust."
Take a bite of the wild slice. Says, hey, baby, take a bite of the wild slice.
Famous phrase, never once gave it away. Secret sauce, same every day. New York City, wanna change. Buffalo chicken, hey, that sounds strange.
Take a bite of the wild slice.
Say, hey, Grace, take a bite of the wild slice. And the pizza gal say,
What tasty treat have you brought me, my angel of darkness?
How I saved the president, Master Culkin.
Semi-recognizable child star from the 90s. So pink, so fleshy. You know my ways.
I knew that my upbringing was unique. You know, I knew it was different. But at the same time, it's kind of just, it's not until you get some perspective, some life experience, until you really realize that, oh wait, this was particularly weird.
Get yourself tested for toxoplasma.
Toxoplasmosis. I've actually had that before.
Well, you haven't.
Yeah, you have it for life.
Yeah, exactly.
Toxoplasma gondii. So what was this movie in
Thailand?
It was my buddy
Seth Green.
He wrote and directed a movie, and so he asked me to do something in it, and you know, like because I don't really pursue acting like at all, kind of thing.
People used to like me
when I was young.
So sorry.
Oh.
So sorry I'm late.
That's all right.
Hi, I'm Macaulay Culkin. Welcome to Bunny Ears. This is my comedy brand.
People will like me. People used to like me
when I was young.